Good afternoon. Welcome into Of His Own Words, part number 8, and getting back to the speech that started it all. And a little bit of context for you here. April, May of 2025, USDA HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. proposed a National Autism Registry. One of the things that we weren't hearing anything about, what was the potential harm? In June and October of last year, I delivered speeches raising concern and stating what I believe to be the potential hazards at the New Hampshire State House in Concord. First installment of His Own Words came up in November and December of 2025, where I had Alejandro Urita alongside me, my co-producer, and we're, 8 installments into it now, since then, and counting. Hudson Community TV viewers, my name is Ian Hounds. I have a form of high-functioning autism. I am a mixture of disgusted, angered, saddened, concerned about the direction of our country. I am appalled and angered by the actions to undermine and misrepresent autism by the current president and his administration. It is apparent that they have not studied history by suggesting a National Autism Registry. The current U.S. President and DHHS Secretary are misrepresenting autism and misrepresenting what autism actually is. They say they want to study autism to further support their theories. Vaccines don't cause autism. Acetaminophen does not cause autism. To date, they haven't actually conducted any proper studies. They have looked at data, made up their minds ahead of time, and then try and tell us, oh, we know what causes autism. Evidently, no, you don't. Autism is a genetic neurological difference that with the current science, the best that you can do is manage it. Now, the main reason I made this first speech, any proposed National Autism Registry violates our privacy. It would take away the ability of autistic people to give consent for how their medical data is being used. And on careful research, it is actually a violation of constitutional right to privacy as defined by the United States Constitution, Article 4, regarding unreasonable search and seizure, and the New Hampshire Constitution, Article 2B, in regard to data privacy. Where's the accountability? Will our medical data be misused or given to a different government agency just because? And that last point, where's the accountability, actually comes full circle here in a little while, and I'll explain at that point. If the proposal was not stopped, the entire disabled community is at risk. Who do they come after next? How much further will they go to harm this community. Look around us. Look at the current national events. Over the last just about year and a half, our federal government has shown that it has no respect for people's privacy. If they deem you to be undesirable, they will arrest you and ask questions later. If Secretary Kennedy's registry is not stopped, I believe RFK's Autism Registry will be used to deny access to or outlaw the very medications and support services that people with autism spectrum disorder, myself included, need to function day to day. If you don't think they will go further, look at how immigration is being handled. It opens the door to blatant discrimination against people with autism spectrum disorder. In the worst possible case, it could expose members of the autistic community to needless and extreme types of experimentation, like we saw in Nazi Germany at the height of their power. And for any of our leadership in power that is trying to say they are trying to, quote unquote, cure people with autism, look at a history book. Trying to cure someone, historically speaking, is what we saw the Nazis repeatedly say, and that led us down a slippery slope into eugenics. The most alarming thing to consider here is Secretary Kennedy Jr. has proposed those with mental health conditions go to wellness farms, and he said this in February of last year, and has opened the door to the points I mentioned above. And what can be done about this, you ask? Good question. I call upon the United States Congress and the New Hampshire legislature to pass medical data privacy legislation modeled after, similar to, Executive Order 2025-02 that we saw out of Illinois May the 7th of 2025. Here in New Hampshire, we've covered it on the program at length. New Hampshire House Bill 1316 aimed to do that. New Hampshire House Bill 1316 expired the middle of last month, March 2026, because the New Hampshire House Republicans chose not to allow a vote upon it. Study the potential benefit of combining what was proposed in House Bill 1316 and 1317. I still believe that's something that should be considered by our state legislature. And also, perhaps most importantly here, I look at the New Hampshire legislature, I look at Hudson's 8 state representatives and State Senator Carson, and I urge you to enshrine the non-discrimination protections from Section 504 into New Hampshire law. And yes, I am well aware that New Hampshire House Bill 1593 attempted to do just that during the current session. However, like House Bill 1316, of which I alluded to a few moments ago. House Bill 1593 was allowed to expire in mid-March with no House vote upon it. Again, because the New Hampshire House Republicans refused to do so. In closing, I believe in the United States that welcomes all people, regardless of ability, where they are, who they are, how they choose to identify, and I believe that we should all have equal opportunities presented to us as Americans. Instead of trying to villainize people with autism, why can't we follow the lead of states like California, Colorado, our neighbors to the south, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and New Jersey, and also Illinois under Governor J.B. Pritzker's leadership, to enshrine basic protections of support services and treatments, and also the right to privacy, basic right to privacy, like these states have in their state laws. Finally, I would like to conclude this segment by quoting J.B. Pritzker, recently re-elected governor of Illinois, and quote, that he delivered to a room of approximately 870 like-minded allies and advocates last April. I believe that these quotes are a fitting call to action to all of us, not just here in New Hampshire, but across the country. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. They must understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone that we have. This November, when it is time for the midterm elections, our assignment is clear. We must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box. And then we get into our usual shtick of its own words on Substack, QR code on the left, our blue sky on the right, our Facebook on the left side, again, another QR code, and to loop in with our partners here at HCTV, a QR code to lead you to everything we have on their side of content. Finally, a nice big old QR code for the Of Its Own Words New Hampshire YouTube channel. Check it out. We're, like I said, we're seven segments in at this point. Some of our on-the-road content is going up there as we work through things here. And then finally, I would be remiss not to, like I have at the end of every one of these shows, give a shout out to Mike Johnson, Director of Community Media here at HCTV, Mike Pylon, Production Coordinator, Matt Guerrero, also Production Coordinator. And then we have our quote-unquote extended family so far. Down the left side, we have myself, Alejandro Ureta, Dr. Louis Espeto of Able, New Hampshire, who's now been on the program with me on 2 occasions, Part 2 and 7. Lily Foss, New Hampshire State Representative for Hillsborough District 41 out of Manchester. Kristen Evans, Policy Director over at Able, New Hampshire. Ally to the disabled community and friend of the show, State Representative Heath Howard from the Barrington area. Shauna Hallberg, who appeared in part number 4 alongside me, Sarah Trzynski, who appeared in part number 6, and a quick side note, that part number 5 was another one of the standalones, and so far into part number 7, Dr. Louis Espeto of Able, New Hampshire has been the first and so far only recurrent guest presenter on the program. And then finally, to wrap up, stay tuned for part number 9. Check out our online sources, see the QR codes listed. Check us out on YouTube as well as the HCTV website. And finally, I had the first of hopefully many unique opportunities last Friday, April the 10th. I was invited by Shauna Hallberg, one of our guest presenters from part number 4, and a equally kindred spirit, to join in on an advocacy meeting with United States State Representative Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander of New Hampshire's 2nd Congressional District. In order, pictured is Chase Eagleson, Policy Director of the New Hampshire Council on Developmental Disabilities, myself, Ian Hounds, host and co-producer of In Own Words here at HCTV on YouTube, U.S. Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander, Shauna Hallberg, and Dr. Louis Espeto of Able, New Hampshire. And during that meeting, we covered a couple of main topics. And first off, data privacy and what that would potentially look like for those in the disabled community, as well as overall fundamental non-discrimination protections as we see in Section 504. How do we get that better protected both on the federal level, but also enshrined into state law? Thanks for watching part number 8 of now 8, and check us out on YouTube of In Own Words New Hampshire, and check us out on HCTV's website. Stay tuned for part number 9 coming up fairly soon here.